Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jam masters. There's certain things that go on in your life, inside of you, outside of you, that obviously cause problems. So let's discuss one tonight that for every one of you, and pretty much everybody, can and does cause problems, which is what people think about you. Have you noticed? Do you care what people think about you? Okay. Is it a problem? Well, it creates a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of mind, and ultimately heart. Okay? Is that natural? Is that appropriate? Does it have to be that way? You live inside. You don't live outside. Why should what other people think about you, and by the way, it's actually much more complicated. Why should what you think other people think about you bother you? There's 8.3 billion people on the planet Earth. You going to worry about all of them? The answer is no. I think it's kind of cute. You couldn't care less about 99.99999% of the people that are here, but they think about you. How you like that? And so you say, well, why? Because it does cause commotion. You feel insulted. You feel not respected. You feel people aren't looking at you the way you want them to look at you. That's what it boils down to. Because somebody could look at you a certain way or treat you a certain way or talk to you a certain way, and it wouldn't bother you at all. And somebody else, or even at a different time and place, something gets said to you, and you get offended. You get upset. You get problems. That is the definition of ego. That is the nature of ego, and you will always have one. The masters say you'll always have one, but the veil can be so thin that it doesn't cause a commotion. But in order to live in the body, you're going to have a concept of your individual self, and just depends on what you think of yourself as to how you get affected by how other people think of you. If you meditate a lot, and that's where your depth of understanding is, that you find peace and love inside, you're not as sensitive to what other people think. It kind of just goes right through because you're already okay. It's not an issue. It's not a problem. People don't even have to apologize. It doesn't make any difference. People do what they do. They say what they say. And who knows what they really mean or how it comes out. But the point is, ego, if it's not okay, and they're not, egos are not okay, takes it a certain way and gets upset and gets bothered and gets weird. How's that? Can it get weird in there? So you have to, at some point in your life, ask, do I want it to be that way? Because the only way you're going to get it to not be that way is not to get people to always be the way your ego wants them to be. That's not going to happen. So the only way to do it is to look in there and say, I want to not be bothered, not by somebody else, by my ego. That's the only way you're going to narrow this thing out. That you can sit there and say, I have learned that what goes on inside is what's sacred. And I don't want the outside, people with all of their different opinions and thoughts and ways of being and all kinds of stuff. I don't want that disturbing my inside, ever. Not only does that make you better, it makes everybody else better. You don't have to worry about what they say or don't say or how you took it or anything like that. It just basically, everything just inside is okay, therefore the outside is fine. And people appreciate that. People that are able to handle other people, they're easy to get along with. There's no issues. So the question is, can you do that? I know you can't go out there and create enough commotion to make everybody be the way you want them to be. Have you noticed? It's not going to happen. Not to mention new people you haven't met yet. God knows how they're going to be with you or whatever. The only way, so there's thousands of things people can say, and there's billions of people. You can't control all that. And to make it so that you're okay. I don't care how much you complain. I don't care what you do. I don't care how upset you get. I don't care what it is. You're not going to be in charge of that mass. But isn't it funny that it all comes down to one spot? You. That you can be in charge of, but not by wanting it to be the way that doesn't upset you. You have to learn to not get upset. And that's a deep talk. That's one thing that different things happen outside, and you can learn to not be upset by them. But I'm telling you, ego is the hardest. And we're going to talk about why. Why is it so hard? Because you care so much about what other people think about you. Don't make it sound romantic. I care about people. If you care about people, you can handle them. What you care about is yourself. That's the nature of ego. It only cares about itself. It's all it thinks about. What do I want? What do I not want? How do I want to talk to? What do I want to get? How I want people to look at me. Just all of that. It's just I. But we don't see that. We think it's justifiable that we get upset or that we get bothered by what people do. You have to reach the point in your spiritual growth. It's not easy. Where you say, not I don't care, because that's suppression. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you think about me. That's not true. Obviously you care. Like the promotion you're making. All right? It has to be that you literally don't care. I told you, my perfect example is there are white lines on the road. Have you noticed? Did you notice that some of them are solid and some are dashed? Some are white and some are yellow. Does that freak you out? I don't care. They're different. I don't care. That's how you have to get inside to be able to deal with things without having them create a commotion inside of you. You have to literally not care, not try to make it so that it's a way that you can handle so you don't care, right? Can you do that? Yes. Can ego thin out to where when stuff comes in from outside, it either creates no commotion or so little that you just let it go. It just passes right through. It doesn't matter. And the answer is yes. There's only one way really to do it. Well, actually, the ultimate way is to be okay inside. You're just so okay inside, really okay inside, that it doesn't hit anything. And that even your ego doesn't bother you. So if somebody hits something, you notice, oh, you still there? That's how I want you to be. You still in there? Oh, you're so cute. Okay, goodbye. Right? And that's how you deal with things. How do you get to that point? What I've experienced, and I've been doing this for a very long time, doesn't mean everybody else experienced it, is you have to practice. You have to literally devote yourself like you do to a sport, or like you do to an instrument. You devote yourself to practicing handling whatever comes in. But your ego will always say, I shouldn't do that. It's not right. It's not respectful. People shouldn't talk like that. People shouldn't do that. It will rationalize and justify why you're not supposed to be okay. You have to reach the absolute point where there's no such thing. I'm okay. I want to be okay. Then I can deal with it. Once I'm okay and there's nothing happening inside, there may be something you need to deal with. People are being abusive or something like that. You need to deal with it. But not because you can't. I tell you all the time, you're not dealing because you can't handle it. You're dealing because you can handle it. And you're the right person to handle it because you're calm and you're clear and there's no ego involved. See the difference? You know, repeat that, right? We deal with things because we have to. They bothered us. We need to change them so they don't bother us anymore. Well, that's just a reactive thing, and you're going to keep that part of you that gets bothered. It will always get bothered because you didn't do anything to make it not be bothered. So instead, you take the attitude, I don't want to be bothered. Not, I don't want somebody to bother me. I don't want to be bothered, ever, no matter what. Are you capable of doing that right now? No, of course not. You get insulted, you get scared, you get jealous. You feel all kinds of stuff goes on in there. So you take the position, and that's a great position for a great spiritual person, is I understand I have these parts of me that gets bothered. I don't want to protect them. Because if I protect them, I keep them. If I sit there and say, no, you can't talk to me that way, you can't do this, right? Then I'm saying, okay, you change because I'm not. I'm staying this way. And it's going to keep being like this. And I'm going to keep having, not only do I keep having the problem, I keep being afraid that I'll have the problem. then you're not comfortable meeting people or being with people because you're afraid that they could say something that triggers you. There is a state that every one of you are capable of achieving in which that's not what it's like to live in there. You do not have any fear of that kind of stuff. You don't have that kind of sensitive, thin skin, if you will. People don't like it, I call it thin skin. It is thin skin. You weren't able to handle the reality of what somebody said or what the world is doing. And you justify all you want in your mind, or you sit there and say, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that in here. I want whatever happens to pass through. And then if I'm supposed to deal with it, it's because I'm supposed to deal with it, not because I have to deal with it to protect myself or to make sure it doesn't happen again. Ever see the difference? Okay, you're in there. How do you do it? My experience is you practice. You just are sincere and you practice every day of your life, every minute of your life. You're centered, you're conscious enough. You're not protecting, making sure nothing happens. If things happen, that's when you react. Then you come inside and say, do I want to be like this? And the answer under every single situation is no. And it's not just personal growth, that's spiritual growth. You're going to find out someday that what's keeping you from God, from literally the total God experience, is that stuff that you have inside of you. So why you want to protect yourself from God, I have no idea. Why you want to protect yourself from ecstasy, from joy, from Shakti, from spirit, that's what's in there. But we protect ourselves because we can't handle our egos. So it's a very deep spiritual path to take the position that what my life is about, maybe Christ, I'll say it as Christ said it, is to die to be reborn. I am willing to die of that part of me, of the ego, of the personal stuff that I take personal and get offended by, whatever the heck it is. I am willing to die of that so I can be reborn in liberation, reborn in spirit, be reborn. That's what's in there. I've talked to you about that time and again. You are all very, very, very high beings. You don't have to try to be. You are. You're literally God's consciousness descended down onto this plane. That's what's going on in there. There's only one consciousness in the universe, and it focuses on different things, but it's all one kind. Like you can focus on your finger and your toe at the same time. Do it. Can you focus on your right hand and your left hand and feel them both at the same time without moving? Of course you can. Why? Because your consciousness is omnipresent inside your body. It doesn't have to move from left hand to right hand. It's everywhere. God's consciousness is everywhere in the universe. It's the same everywhere. And that consciousness can focus on your thoughts, your emotions, your body, the world that comes in through you, and it can focus on everybody else's also. And that's what it's doing. It's just a dance of consciousness in creation. I don't want to get into it, but that's the purpose of creation. That God created the universe so he could experience it and feel himself, because he is every aspect of the universe, is universal and omnipresent. And so it's everywhere. And the divine being created everything so that it could experience its own nature. Like a painter paints a painting. They don't paint it, not look at it. A musician writes a piece of music. Even if no one's there, they play it. They want to hear it. They're expressing their own being at a deep, deep level. That is what's going on in this universe. The creation created creation and is now experiencing the creation it made. Trouble is, we're not so happy to let it do that, are we? We have this attitude that in between God's consciousness and the right to experience what's in front of you, we have built this block. We've built this ego that says, I hate to say this because it seems so weird. Like the Bible says, and I'm not a Bible reader, right? But I like Christ's teaching. I'll tell you that right now. He said, not my will, but thy will be done. You say, not thy will, but my will be done. And you get embarrassed as you want, check it out. That's what you're doing. You're saying it's supposed to be the way I want it to be. And you even pray to God, make it be my way. I don't like the way you would let it be yourself. I don't like what you created, so I want it to be the way I've decided it's supposed to be. And everybody has decided that individually, have they not? And no one agrees, by the way. No one agrees. It's funny, but it's true. I can do it very quickly. Why? Why can't we all agree? Because what's going on inside of you with your ego, your personal self, is the sum of your learned experiences. That's what psychology teaches you. Man's the sum of his learned experiences. It's true. You're not. You're the consciousness experiencing your psyche. You know what's going on in there. But what you think and what you like, what you don't like, and how you think people should treat you, every single thing about your ego, your personal self, is based on learned experiences. Your mother treated you that way, so you can't stand being talked to that way. Your father did this. Your Uncle George did so-and-so. Do you understand that? You've had experiences in your life, yes or no. Some of them came in and you could handle them. They were pleasant, even pleasant. Some of them came in and they were very caustic. They were very uncomfortable to you. Guess what you did with those? You kept them. That's how you want to look at Freud. You understand that? That's what he basically told you. There are things that happened from your childhood all the way up, your formative years, and they bothered you. You had bad experiences. Mom didn't pick you up, and whatever. You felt rejected in school. They bullied you. What did you do with those experiences? I stored them, didn't you? There's this tendency, if it doesn't feel good when it comes in, to push it away. Are you in there? You ever find yourself pushing things away? Guess where it goes when you push it away? It stays in there, period. And so I build a dam, that river ain't coming through. So that dam comes down. Well, that's what you pushed away. You pushed away brick by brick and block by block of these past experiences, most of which you were disturbed by. You stored some good stuff, right? Oh, I want that to happen again. I remember when I was little, my parents took me to Disney World. I would love to have that experience again. Well, you can't. You're 43 years old and they're dead. I'm sorry, all right? So even the positive ones cause trouble. But if you store the negative ones, and you do every day, constantly, you don't want to experience it. You fight back. You push it away. Maybe you do it quietly inside and you sliver away, that kind of person, or you boldly step forward. Don't you talk to me like that. Either way, it's the same thing. You're basically saying, I don't want this to pass through me. And if you don't let it pass through you, I'm telling you, it will be here on your deathbed. Anything you pushed away, that you keep pushing it back down, is staying there. How do you know that? Because it does come back up, doesn't it? Somebody says something, you smell something, and the kitchen smell reminds you of your mother. All this emotion and thoughts and things come up. What does that mean? It means they're in there. How'd they get in there? You stored them in there. That was what you did. Yes or no? Well, then that's why it is the way it is inside. Okay? And so the outside comes in, and everybody's different because we've all had different experiences. And don't you dare think that someone's the same as you. I don't care if you're married. I don't care how long you've been married. Be married all you want. There's times she goes shopping or she goes to work and he goes this and that. You're not all having the same experiences. And even when you're together and having the same experiences. He was looking left, she was looking right. Down with a shopping cart, she saw different things than you. Everybody that ever walked the face of this earth has had unique experiences compared to everybody else. There's no way that as you walk through the pattern of your life every minute, that anyone that ever lived has ever had the same experiences or ever will. Well, then you are pretty special, aren't you? Stop thinking you're not special. You're pretty special. There's a whole creation gets created and you get your own personal view. But look what you do with it. You sit there and say, I don't like that. I want this. I don't like that. Preferences again. I have preferences about what I experience, what I don't experience, and don't be like that, and you better be like this, and all that kind of stuff. Every single preference you have means you've judged reality and done something with it. In most cases, either rationalized it or you suppressed it. Who the heck knows? I don't like to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff in there. That's why you don't feel God's presence. God is still doing God's thing, which is looking down to experience his creation. But what's experiencing instead is your ego. So basically, it is the blockages that you stored inside of you over the course of your life. It's not wrong. You don't have guilt. It's not bad. It just is what happened. Like the default is, if I throw something at you, I'm going to take a ball and throw it at you quickly. Guess what you do? You put your hands up to defend yourself. Totally natural. Have you noticed? A lot of deer out here, and turkeys too. They're just adorable. Try to walk up to them. They run away, okay? Unless you train them otherwise. That's what you're doing inside. Something comes in, you throw your inside hands up, your will, defensiveness. How about that one? Ever defensive? All right? And so you basically, it comes up and you hold it there. You push it away, okay? And that's not spiritual. And every single time you can't handle something, you have moved away from God because God created everything and handle anything. It's all the same. It's this one body, one experience, experiencing itself. Like some people like certain kind of music. Somebody else likes funk. Somebody else likes acid rock. Somebody else likes who knows what. Okay? God loves it all. He wrote it all. He's expressing it all, every bit of it. Just, oh man, the nirvana just comes in and passes through. If it comes in and passes through, I teach you this all the time. If something comes in that's so beautiful that you get completely caught in, and you say things like, it touched me to the depth of my being. A sunset can do that. Music can do that, right or wrong. It literally came in and touched me to the depth of my being. And then you say, I felt like I was in the presence of God. You were, and it is, because that's what's in there. And if it touched you to the depth of your being, that is the meaning of creation. That creation got created, and now it's expressing itself, and you're experiencing it. And oh, it's like an artist looking at his work, or a musician listening to the beauty of the music that's being made, so on and so forth. If it touches you to the depth of your being, it's holy, it's beautiful, it's special. And somehow, the Monet painting that the heart has, when that was given to them, something got written, and I'll never forget it, that said, what makes it a masterpiece? What makes a masterpiece? It came from that place that there was no ego. It was just pure energy, pure Shakti. And it came out so pure that it ended up on the canvas. Why do people stand in front of you at a horn? People sit in front of that Monet and just get blissed out. And different types of art to different people. Why? Because it carries the vibration of where it came from. Do you understand that? That's what true art does. There's no ego involved. It's just coming from God. It's coming from the deepest place, and there's nobody in the way. And it ends up on a canvas or through an instrument or in dance. And basically, then other people, years and years, 50, 100, 200 years later, call it a masterpiece or blown away by it. That's who you are all the time. You're extremely creative. You're extremely experiential. You're extremely beautiful. That's what it is. But what happened? You weren't able to handle the experiences that happened to you. You know it's true, okay? And I don't care. You can tell me, yeah, well, this is really terrible. I know it's terrible. It's worse to keep it. The worse you tell me it is what happened in your childhood, the less it should be in there. You're not a child anymore. You can handle things. But when they come back up, they feel the same as when you couldn't handle them. All the emotions and the thoughts and every single thing comes back up because you stored it that way. We call it a samskara. You stored that pattern. And now when it gets touched, it comes back up and you push it back down. I'm talking about you want to have a beautiful life that's whole and full. You have to be willing to work for it. You have to be willing to do the inner work of saying, I don't want this stuff in here. Do I have it in here? Yes, I do. Does it need to be here? No, it doesn't. You start by not putting more in there. Isn't it fun to have that stuff in there and be so sensitive and reactive and like people and not like people and be so opinionated and prejudiced? Isn't that fun? No. All right? Then stop putting stuff in there. That's the starting position of your spiritual growth. If you go through a day and you can't handle what happened to you, there's no way you're going back to take the big stuff from before. You stored that down, there's like a virus, it grows down there. You understand that? It touches everything. So you have to start by saying, I can handle today. I couldn't handle everything in my past. I will deal with that in a minute to see how to work with it, because you can work with it eventually. But if you keep putting more stuff in there, what's the purpose? And so what you do is you start with the little stuff. It teaches us all the time. It's the essence of what I've learned. You start with the little stuff. The driver in front of you upsets you, yes or no? Have you ever gotten anxious and upset and uptight because the driver in front of you doesn't use a blinker, or because they swerve on the road, they step on their brake all the time, or they drive 15 miles an hour below the speed limit when you're in a rush? Have you ever talked to the driver in front of you? What good does it do? It's wasted energy. It's wasted bad feelings. That driver doesn't hear you and doesn't change the behavior in any shape or form. Well, how about we take something like that and say, that's a good practice field. I'm going to practice seeing that I don't have to do that. I know he has a tendency, right? He likes to drive and get there quickly. And I notice that I'll be driving down a 2-lane highway, and it's clear, and so he's driving 10 miles over the speed limit. And after he gets through pointing as he drives, like, see, it's supposed to be 55, not 30. Guy didn't hear me, all right? I'll pass him. But I'm watching Mickey every step because I know him very well, right? And I watch, right? I'm allowed to pass. I pass. And then I pull up to a stop sign and the person pulls right behind me. And I would say, see, and stick my tongue out. I went, not at the guy, it's Mickey. That's how you learn. You don't side with your ego. You don't side with yourself. Doesn't mean you can't pass, all right? But just watch. Just watch and see what's worth. And eventually it's a game. It's a game. It's fun, right? And you just start using life like that. The other one I'm talking about is the weather. You're not going to change the weather by complaining about it. Maybe you have that power. I'm not sure. Well, then why are you complaining about it? Why are you getting upset about it? Why, when you're walking from your car to the air-conditioned house, is it, oh, yeah, oh my God, I don't live in Florida anymore. What are you doing? You're storing stuff down there. Every single one of those opinions and stuff is the sum of your learned experiences. So you start with this small stuff. And how do you do it? I want you to make a game with it. I want the whole thing to be a game. Right now, it's anxious and uptight and worry. You worry it's going to be hot. Well, what will I do if it's really hot? Not only can't you handle it being hot, you can't handle it might be hot. And you sure as heck can't handle when it really was hot before. It still bothers you. And the same thing with the driver and the same thing with everything. Wake up. You need to work on yourself. Yes, meditation is wonderful, mantra is wonderful, but you better do this stuff. You better be doing the daily stuff that says, I'm in here, this is my house, and I'm cleaning up. Because I know what it costs to keep that stuff in there. It creates turmoil. So you learn to let go. You learn to let go. I don't care how you do it. That's your business. I told you with the heat, when I first moved out here in 70, 71, something like that, and I had a VW van, wasn't air conditioned, my house wasn't air conditioned. It was hot in the summer, okay? And he would complain all the time, even though he was meditating, right? But even then he'd complain, it's hot, how can I meditate? I'd watch him, and at one point, I like telling this story, I guess it's true. I can remember standing outside in the field down there next to my van, and he's fetching, all right? And I just took a breath and stopped and said, Mickey, why is it hot? And he said, because the sun is hot. And I asked him an amazing question that changed everything. I said, hey, come down. Okay, it's hot. What is the sun? He knows. He's into astronomy and stuff. And he said, a star. Oh, I thought stars are nice things. That's one of them. Stop calling it the sun. It's a star. Stop saying you got sunburn. You got starburned. And all of a sudden it changed your whole attitude. You're close enough to a star to feel its heat, that you feel its heat, and you start working with yourself, start liberating yourself, freeing yourself. You don't let the garbage just throw your arms up, right? Here, you throw your arms to protect yourself from a ball that gets thrown at you. What if it's your dad playing catch with you? I don't think you'll do real well every time the ball comes your way, throwing your arms up. You better learn not to do it. Well, that's the way it is with everything. You learn. You learn. You work with yourself, right? And by the way, okay, it's one thing to talk about the sun and talk about the car, but you can't do that with everything. It can't all be dismissed that way. Really, somehow I'm not a physicist, believe me, all right? But I like the stuff. Somebody once told me that every single thing that happens to me is just a bunch of atoms moving in front of me, including the sun, including the car, including the person's body driving the car, including the pizza, including every single thing. It's just atoms. Which ones do you like? I always challenge you. I have a periodic table in my den, even though I'm not a physicist or chemist. A big one. They gave it to me as a present. It's beautiful. Look at it. Every single thing you interact with and everything in the universe is made out of those elements. That's what you're getting upset about? The atoms that are moving past you? That's how you work with yourself. You understand that? And you shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free. You start liberating yourself and being bothered by a bunch of atoms moving. So I just want to tell you, there are ways to free yourself. There are ways to work with yourself to where you don't be so weird and you deal with it any way you want. The other way I deal with it a lot is, okay, did you know that every single thing that happens to you every single minute, every day is on a tiny little planet spinning through black space? We just had the astronauts go fly to the moon. It looked pretty interesting when they looked back, didn't it? That's what you're on, a tiny planet. And I'm sorry, I have to impress you because I hear it all the time. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. That's how small this planet is. That one star is one of 300 billion in your galaxy. And 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. And you're freaking out what happened today? What somebody said to you? You have the right to free yourself. It's crazy the way we live. Instead of freeing ourselves, we try to impose on everybody else so they be the way we want to be so we don't have to free ourselves. Spiritual growth is all this I'm talking about is spiritual growth. If you're able to work with yourself and not store more things in there, then you're better off the next day. If you were driving behind a car that drove 15 miles on the speed limit, and you passed and you got upset and whatever it is, if you see that car 3 days later, or when it's at least close, same make, color, your heart goes like this. You did that. You can do that about everything. What everybody says to you, about everything you see. You stored something instead of welcoming it and letting it go. Doesn't mean you can't pass. But like I said, if I choose to pass, I have fun watching how stupid getting upset was, or even having any relationship like that, versus the 2 minutes difference to get down to the stop sign. Or about a year ago, I noticed, if I get a stop sign, I'm driving a bigger road, there's not stop signs, and I'm going, the person's, say, there's a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, they're going 45 miles an hour, right? I'm trying, make his teachings, practice them, breathe, right? And before I did anything, 2 blocks later, they turned right. I laugh at him. What are you doing, allowing yourself to bother yourself? Do you know how much of what goes on in there is you bothering you? It's like you just wake up and you say, no, I'm not going to do this. That is your spiritual commitment. I am going to free myself from the stupidity of bothering myself. So you start with the small things, the sun, the driver, the this, the that, okay? And you catch on, wait a minute, that works. Now I enjoy the sun. What do you do with the driver? All right, I've done it. You sit there and say, what is that with my grandmother? And this is the last year she's going to be allowed to drive. It's just like she's at the end of her driving career, all the years she lived. Why don't you tailgate her and beep at her? No, I don't think so, Grandma. I'm okay. Just find something that you can work with yourself. Don't just tolerate this constant throwing up those arms because things aren't the way you want them to be. Because the way you want them to be is just some of your learned experiences, which is meaningless. Everybody's got one, all right? And it all comes down to ego. It all comes down to, I have built a concept of myself called the self-concept, is it not? So psychology calls the ego the self-concept. I made up this concept of myself, made out of the different experiences I had, and now I have to live with it. And instead of giving up on everybody else, you give up on yourself. Doesn't mean you don't like yourself. You realize there's something very beautiful in there, all right? I would like to find it. And you go mining by letting go of this garbage you're doing inside yourself. And eventually you get to the point where the little stuff, you don't even think about it. It just goes by. And the next thing you know, something bigger is happening. You do it the exact same way. If you're playing the piano, you have to learn the scales first. Then you get to learn Twinkle Twinkle. Well, it's no harder to learn Twinkle Twinkle than it was the scales. Once you're able to do them, then the next step is easy. That's true of handling yourself. That's true of everything in this world. So you get to the point where you're good at this stuff and you realize the next stuff is just as easy. And then all of a sudden some bigger comes up from your childhood or from a year ago or 2 years ago, and somebody's walking by that reminds you of it, and you catch yourself because it didn't pull you in. It didn't have the strength to do that. And you sit there and say, I can handle this. Try it sometime. Just try. Have that go on inside your head instead of I can't handle this. I can handle this. I can handle what the person said. I can handle that I thought I deserved an A, I got a B, but there was something I needed to learn, but I didn't want to. Now I'm still resisting and getting upset. I can handle it. You have to want to. You have to want to go through the disturbance that whatever level it's at, your next level, there's going to be a level of disturbance. Do you understand that? Who taught you that? Christ. There's a guy that kind of handled some disturbance, didn't he? And didn't say a word, not a word, didn't defend himself, didn't try to stop it. He had all the power, could have done anything. And he just accepted, surrendered, not my will, but thy will. What an example of what we're capable of. And he didn't say he was different. He did not say that. He said, as I sit at the throne of my Father, that's a state of consciousness, It's an inner state. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which you do shall do these and even better things, stronger things. I read the Bible once in 72 or something like that, but it keeps coming back. He really said these things. What he's telling you is you can handle things. You can handle, and that's everything he taught you was that. Like, you without sin throw the first stone. You can handle that people did things wrong. You can handle doing to others, have others do unto you. You can handle every single thing that was taught, all spiritual teaching, not just his, all, the Buddhist, the Zen, the Quran, really the deeper teachings, they're all the same. That, handle it, surrender, let go, accept, not my will but thy will. Learn to let go of yourself, die to be reborn. It means you die of the personal self, and what's left is not even a ghost spirit, you are spirit. The clouds are not stopping the sun. The sun keeps shining. The clouds are blocking the sun. Your ego junk that you keep inside yourself and defend and let run your life, right, are the clouds that are blocking the beauty of your being. And so as you let them go, you will start to feel Shakti. And don't you doubt it one iota. You'll get more and more. You're just feeling this upward flow of energy coming inside of you all the time. We talked about the other day, what is smiling? Have you noticed that when you smile, your lips go up? And when you frown, your lips go down? That's because when Shakti is going up, when you're feeling good, it lifts all the muscles in your body. You hear me? Okay? You want to go, hallelujah. Everything goes up. Well, as you let go of the garbage, and it is garbage, it doesn't need to be in there. As you let it go, you feel better. And people say, well, can it heal the body? Of course it can heal the body. It doesn't, that's what it's for, right? But if you block energy, it's blocked. It can't go to the different organs. It can't go to the different places. It's all acupuncture. It's just basically the chi can't flow because you've blocked it. So is it possible that as you let go of these blockages, that you're healthier and things can heal? I don't know. Maybe ulcers have something to do with stress and worry. I think they know that part. It all is like that. Doesn't mean that every disease is caused by that. But obviously, if good energy is coming in naturally and flowing, it creates healing. So your whole being changes, your whole life changes just by getting rid of the garbage that you stored inside yourself. Believe me, I hope you understand, you do not want that stuff in there. Not only is it difficult to live with, it keeps you from God. It makes it so that what's in here is blocked God. The fall from the garden is that the consciousness of the divinity fell into the ego. And that's where it is now. It's busy trying to get everything it wants and what it can get and what it can attract to itself and saying, not thy will, but my will. That's what you're saying, all right? Instead, you look at it and you say, this is a pretty amazing planet. It's in the middle of nowhere. 1.3 million fit inside this one star, and there's all these stars, and it's kind of nice. There's elephants, giraffes, ants. There's just everything, and people, nice people and mean people. There's everything, isn't it? Go to Mars, see how long it takes before you're bored to death. And this isn't that way, is it? Not a moment of your life. It's not exciting. There's all kinds of things happening, but they're not what you want. You're only okay if they're what you want. And I mean exactly what you want. Exactly. If you go to hug somebody and they don't feel good and they pull away a little bit, oh my God, you'll pay for that for months and months. You'll forget, you don't treat me right. How dare you pull away from. Do you want to be like that? Because you don't have to be. And if you're not, then all of a sudden, if someone pulls away a little bit because they had a bad day, you don't take it personal. Because there's no reason to. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. They're expressing themselves. Has nothing to do. You had a totally different life, a totally different day. How could you treat me like that? I'm not treating you like anything. I'm being this. I'm being weird. Can you handle that I had a weird day and I'm being weird? Wouldn't it be nice if we could? And so you just catch on that there's work to be done in there. And the work is not just psychology, being nicer and getting along better and doing counseling and so on, which is wonderful. It's literally getting closer to God. So I'm telling you, when you let go of that stuff, you will reach a point where you realize you're happier than you used to be. And the littlest thing in the world turns you on. You go to, say, an electric toothbrush. You wake up in the morning, you turn like a brrr, you start laughing. It's just funny. It buzzes and it feels funny, right? And you step outside. What's that? There's a planet in which there are these things, atoms, that come together and sing to you. That's pretty far out, isn't it? And it's just totally different. You get the energy. And then eventually it gets higher and you realize, why am I letting anything? I don't want anything taking this energy away. This is beautiful. So you're in love with somebody and a thing and it's not a good interaction, right? And you look at it and you say, I'm afraid of losing them. I feel scared. Or I can handle this. I can handle it. I don't have to say a word about it. Why? Because I handle it within myself. I don't have to talk about it. I have to work it out. Maybe you do. It's a problem. Better talk about it a little bit, right? But if you can handle it within yourself and it doesn't leave any marks or scars, why bother? She had a bad day. That's fine. You're welcome to have bad days. And you just, all of a sudden, you're able to let go. And now nothing can bring it down. And you get to the point where, and bigger things will happen. Big things happen in life, don't they? Do big things happen in life? There's all kinds of stuff. And you start practicing handling. And eventually you get to the point where really big stuff happens and you decide, I am not going to let this take me down, period. I'm not. I don't care what happens. I don't care what they do. I don't care how unjust it is. I don't care right or wrong or good or bad. I ain't coming down. And when you work through that at that level, becoming established in the seat of self, now nothing can bring you down. Because you showed that you can handle it. How would you like to wake up in the morning and know that nothing can happen today that I can't handle? I don't have to bother worrying about it. It's about planning for it. Come on, man. Let's be here now. That's what it means. Let me be willing to bring it on. And people say to me, so that's why I wrote the surrender experiment. You understand the flow, how the flow happens. But if I don't plan it and I don't want it and I don't do anything to get it, then nothing's going to happen. You want to bet? You want to bet the planet stays in orbit? You want to bet Saturn keeps its rings? You want to bet there's still 300 billion stars in one galaxy with 2 trillion galaxies and they're all big black holes. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. You want to bet? So you're not taking ownership for the tiny little nothing that's yours and saying nothing will happen unless I do it. That's not what happens. What happens is you're fine and the world unfolds. And how do I know what to do? Ready? It's in front of you. I don't know why. You hear Christ. Let those who have eyes to see, let them see. Let those who have ears to hear, let them hear. In other words, how do you know what to do? It's happening in front of you. He literally said, if you get called to court to testify, don't even think about what you're going to say. The words will come to you when you're there. You just be there, and it's in harmony with life. And the next thing you know, you're in harmony with life. Why? Because you're not in harmony with yourself. That's what it means, to die to be reborn. That's what and then life is unfolding. It takes a while to get in harmony. It's called the Tao. That's what Lao Tzu meant by the Tao. The flow that's happening, and there's no one there interfering with it. So you're not doing anything. You're just not doing anything. See the difference? That's what they're talking about in Zen. They're really doing and not doing. You're neither doing nor not doing. Well, you'll scratch your head. How can I neither be doing and not doing? Because you're neither doing nor not doing. You're just there. And you're so open and in such harmony with life that it is flowing through you. And wait till you see what happens. It's phenomenal. People feel it. They feel the energy. They feel everything. That's what the great ones were. Saints are beings that reached a very high state and in harmony with things. So that is the life that's available to you. You do not have to suffer. You suffer because you stored stuff inside. You suffer because you can't handle the realities of life. So as you practice handling, working with yourself, raising yourself, and then the Shakti will help you. It's like when you start feeling that Shakti flowing inside of you, I want you to get to the point you don't want to give it up. I'm not willing to give that up because of what you said to me. Well, that's very wise. They didn't mean what they said. They probably misunderstood it anyways. Okay? But no way, I'm not coming down. I'm not forcing my way up. But if this is the natural flow, and it is, the natural flow of the Shakti is upward, not downward. Now we look down. You get to the point where it's always lifting you up. That's what the master teach. Somebody asked Yogananda, is there a guaranteed method that in this lifetime, aside from Master taught Kriya Yoga, aside from Kriya Yoga, that guarantees your liberation in this lifetime? He shocked everybody and said, yes. What is that? Take your attention and put it at the point between your eyebrows and never take it off. That's called the sixth chakra, the third eye, the seat of awareness. You're going to find out as you go deep in meditation that the energy comes in and it normally just falls down. It naturally comes through and doesn't go down any lower than that. The rest happens by itself. And if you can focus your attention always, is it possible? How can I always focus my attention? I'm talking to people, I'm working. You will get to the point where that center opens up and you couldn't take your attention off it if you tried. It's there all the time, every single day, sleeping, awake. It's always going through that center, sometimes ecstatically, sometimes a little tense, right? But it's always going up there. And then you just evolve by saying, I like it here. What are you willing to pay? Because then it costs money. It costs you being willing to let go of yourself. It costs you being willing to say, I want up more than I want down. I don't care what he wants. Part of me does, but it gets so little, so thin, that you don't care whether you get what he wants or doesn't get what he wants, or you get what he doesn't want. I can handle it, you can handle it, but I ain't coming down to protect him. Because what I'm protecting, when you protect yourself, what are you protecting? Your ego. God doesn't need to protect himself. He loves all experiences. Are you not protecting your ego? You're protecting your self-concept. I don't like being treated like that. I don't like being talked to like that. I don't like when you wear that. I don't like this. I don't like how you... It's just the I is full bloom, sitting there saying, I do it my way. And you just get to the point. You do. You get to the point that it gets up enough to where you're not coming down. Come see me as you're getting there. I love it. You're not coming down, period. And then it goes up from there. That, by the way, is not a high state. I have a little time, a minute or two left to understand. That is called seated in the center, witness consciousness, established in the self. You're there, and hanging below you is him or her. Judge Ramakrishna used to call, he referred to himself as this. This is not feeling well. This, he wasn't associated with it at all right? So basically, you get to the point where it is there all the time. And you realize there's no reason to come down. And not even trying to lift yourself up. There's nothing pulling you down anymore. It's just basically, it is what it is. And you've learned you can handle it. And I don't need to come down and mess. It doesn't mean you're not working. Work happens naturally. I told you, every atom's doing its thing. You're part of everything. But your consciousness doesn't get pulled down into it. And at some point, it starts getting pulled up. Not just the natural flow that works through the chakras as the energy flows up the spine. It's outside, and it starts pulling your awareness of being away from what you're looking at. You heard witness consciousness, right? Away from witness consciousness. Because witness consciousness is witnessing what? That is looking at. I notice my thoughts. I know you're still looking at you, but you're doing it from a higher state. That starts getting pulled away from you. It starts getting pulled up to where it can't even look down enough to be witnessing. It's starting to experience where it came from. That's what, the source of consciousness is what starts happening. It's, instead of seeing what you're conscious of, you're starting to experience where conscious came from. What is the source of consciousness? Then this whole thing starts to drop off, and that's where the great ones go. And eventually they let go enough, we can close out of that, to where they do what they call merge. What does the word yoga mean? Union. They merge. What does that mean? Who merges? This individual consciousness that's been busy both dealing with this and letting go of this. See, doing and not doing is still there. Is dropping back to where it came from. Then there's no doing or not doing because there's no individuality. And eventually the drop of water falls into the ocean. And you don't find it again. They merge. They become one. That's where Christ was. My Father and I are one. Quote that. Pretty perfect, isn't it? Father and I are one. Well, that's what the masters are, and that's what the great ones find. And that, believe it or not, is who you are. You will never not be that. The trouble is you're busy looking down at this sum of your learned experiences and trying to protect it and have everything be the way it wants it and so on. Whereas if you let go of the thing, you get more incomprehensible. Okay? I don't know what to say. I hope you're listening. You're a very great being. Jai Gurudev.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.